So, all right. So getting back to our conversation.
Yes, we were talking about escalation. So what happens is we argue, we get into it, we feel invalidated. When we argue, one partner feels invalidated. I don't think that person is validating my emotions. So I'm going to give an example. I have just a kind of a scenario, how the conversation goes when things escalate. So I'm going to choose two people, Dee and Martin. Let's say Dee saying, she's very upset. She said, we agreed that, so this couple, I'm going to give a scenario of, they have two boys.
Okay.
And they both work, the couple, both husband and wife work, and they both come home tired. And then before Dee goes to work, she tells her husband, Martin, make sure if you come home before, then make sure boys are eaten and they clean up after themselves before they start playing games. That's the daily household stuff stories we come across. Kids get right into the playing, and they don't pick their toys, and then they jump into playing video games, and then they don't clean up. So here the D is saying, we agreed that the boys needed to clean up their rooms before they could play Nintendo or computer games. And then husband Martin says, oh, I don't remember what you said. I forgot. D says, she hears what she interprets an invalidation, but what was really simply tiredness. So she had a long day, so she was tired. So when he said that, she felt insulted. And then she said, I guess you think I'm just making up rules for the sake of hearing myself thinking out loud. Right? So Martin's, he's saying D is not really looking for response to this charge, but because she's making negative interpretations, and Martin responds in his defense, he says, you are so darn sensitive. I just forgot what you said this morning. I didn't mean anything by forgetting. And then D, she said, you forget a lot. Right? I think you are way of undermining my authority. So see, the pattern in this is, it's just a simple thing.
Right.
Yes. And they get into it because she is the disciplinary in the house and he's not. So he just lets boys do whatever they do. So the boys looking at their parents and they're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
They're going to get into argument and we're going to have
we get away with whatever we want.
Right. So here Martin is thinking, she's always dissing me in front of boys. Right? She thinks I'm an idiot, right? So this is the interpretations happening, right? So, and then D is thinking, what a jerk. He must have some pathetic memory on the planet, or else he just wants to do this to frustrate me, right? So there's interpretation is happening. So if you kind of go in a intimate part of the emotional connection part of it, then Martin say, I bet she had a pretty tough day. Right? I can give her some space, then look for a way to tell her I do care about what we agree to do with boys. Even if I don't remember, later on I'll tell her when she calmed down that I'll clean up, help the boys. I understand you're tired and I'm here for you. Right? So if you have a good emotional connection, then the person won't make the negative interpretations. Or the D would have thought, maybe that comment about always forgetting thing was a little out there. I should be more gentle. That's not fair for me to insult him in front of the boys. I forget some things too. So when she realizes that no, maybe he was just didn't think about it. Or maybe he really forgot. Right? So what happens is, like, when we kind of, like you were saying earlier, we kind of assume that other person doesn't care about me, they just want to get me angry, then it just escalates. Right? So we could just stop right there and say, take a step back if the one person is attacking or blaming, and just taking that time out. That's the key in relationship. When we see that it's escalating, we decide we're going to take a time out. And that can happen when we are calm and talk about those things that, when you see us negatively interpreting and also getting into the escalation, we can just decide to take a time out. So in these situations, they could take the time out and revisit, right? And they say, I think we both are going to get into it. Let's just talk about this after we put the boys to sleep.
Yes.
Right. And many couples, they say that, but they never revisit.
No.
Right?
Yes.
Because there's no time. We don't prioritize it because we think, it's okay. Now we are calm. Let's not
Let's
bring
not
it
start
up
it again.
Yes, but this is what happens. Then it just over and over happens, and before we know, we lose that intimacy.
Right.
So if we go back to it, and then later on, maybe the maximum, I would say 24 to 48 hours, you need to revisit that topic.
Right.
If not the same day, the day after, or within 2 days, you talk about, okay, this is what happened between us, and be honest, this is how I was feeling. I was really mad at you. I really wanted to smack you. I really, really wanted to choke you. But you know what? I didn't. I didn't because I do care about us.
Right.
Yes.
Right? I do get angry. First, before you assume what other person was feeling, be open to your own feelings. I was angry. Maybe I am a little bit still angry. That's why we're still talking about it. This little anger is okay. Because otherwise, then we dismiss.
Yeah.
Right? So we little angry and you said, okay, let's talk about it now. And what did you really feel? And he might say, your husband might say, oh, I was angry too. I thought you were a bitch. But now you look a little better than that. So it's just being honest, then you have fun from there. Like we were really acting like stupid.
Yeah.
Yes, being silly.
The silly stuff we were arguing about. It didn't mean anything. But yes, we can improve. We can learn from that experience. But that doesn't happen most of the time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We get into it and then we let other things take over in our life, right? We don't
because
value
when
the
you're
relationship.
angry, you're so it clouds your judgment, the way you think, what you say is you really say things you don't mean,
Yes.
and that's so hurtful for the other person, right? And then that escalates to a whole other thing when you really didn't mean what you said, and like you said, it was a small thing, and that's how it all starts.
So it's like you write your story. That situation. Don't just keep on playing in your head. Literally,
Write it
after you're
down.
angry,
Yeah.
I encourage people to have their journals.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what were you really feeling?
Yeah.
Write it
Right.
out.
Yeah.
Like, after that argument we had, this is how I felt.
Right.
And then you look at it and you said, oh, I really felt insulted. I was judged. The person was rude to me. And when you go revisit and tell them, this is how I was feeling at the time.
Right.
But this is what I'm feeling right now. I do have compassion for our relationship, right? And then I do want to forgive ourselves for what we do. And we are a team in this.
Yeah.
And we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
Not just thinking in your head. You say it loud, those words. I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm willing to forgive. Right? I'm willing to surrender. I am willing to be a team and get through this.
Right.
When you openly share those strong feelings, that emotional connection, it kind of comes back at you.
Right.
And this is where we kind of make mistake. We're just said, okay, next time, just follow what I say, and we won't have any problems. Right? If the D tells Martin, next time you just tell like what I told you, we won't have any problems.
Right.
Then it's like nothing was solved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? She's the commander.
Yes.
She's the leader, and he's the follower. That won't work in a
No.
relationship.
Right.
Yeah. Because then he will shut down. He will eventually say, to have that peace in the relationship, I just shut down. I'll let you do what you want to do. That'll keep you happy. And we'll carry on life like that. And then many times it does happen like that. The life carries on, but then with just one person being so miserable that at the end, that's the end of your relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we talked about that last week, withdrawal,
Yeah.
stonewall. We
Yeah.
kind of stonewall our partners sometimes when we keep on blaming and assuming things, and then we kind of are negatives with
Right.
them. So they stonewall. They say, there's no point talking to this person. I'm
Yes.
never going to be good enough for this person.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like there's some, was working for this woman. She was a housewife, and she thought she was never going to be pretty enough.
Yes.
Because she saw her husband flirting all the time, and she said, no point. She was stonewalled in the relationship. Nothing he shared, she couldn't hear him. After that, so many years, he tried to tell her, you're beautiful.
Yeah.
She could not feel it.
Yeah.
Because he made her so insecure.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So it happens. It doesn't happen just with men. It tend to happen in argument-wise. We women talk more, and men tend to stonewall.
Tend to, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but it can happen with women as well.
Yes. And I also, like, going back to your story, I also think once you have closure, close it. Close that chapter. Don't bring it up after even a year or so. Like, that specific day with
Yeah.
the kids, because then that again tends to escalate again, because
Yes.
you are reopening the old wounds. So if you have sorted it out, just close it. Do not like bring it up again, because I think that's what happens to many people, that they tend to say, okay, all is forgiven, we've made up, we've talked about it. But then when you come to another argument,
Then reopen.
it reopens, and then that's how it escalates, because now you're not concentrating on the problem that has a new problem.
Yeah.
You are adding the old problem to the new problem as
Yes.
well, right?
And I see that a lot with couples who have issued the marriage of affairs, and it's very difficult to forgive.
Yes.
Right, but once they decide they're going to get past it, and it should not come back up. Right?
Yes.
But it does. It does, because forgiveness, I think I want to talk about that next week, next month, forgiveness, because
Yeah.
that goes for every relationship in our life, friends
Yes.
and husband, wife, siblings, parents. So, yes, with couples, forgiveness is so important that when we have the affairs, I see when I work with couples who have affairs, they can let it go.
Right.
Like you're saying, you bring it up again anytime you have an argument. I forgive you, but it was a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have. See, you always tend to hurt my feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
But that hurt could be something for not doing a laundry or dishes.
Yes.
But you bring up the past affair,
Yes.
which happened 5 years ago. You keep on throwing back at each other.
Yes.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. So these are the mindful. You have to be very self-aware, mindful, self-compassion.
Yes.
Yes.
It's when you open up old wounds, you're hurting yourself.
Yes.
So in a relationship, self-compassion is very important.
Right.
If you are judging the person over and over, you're hurting yourself also
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing these negative thoughts in your head. Right? So it's very important to be compassionate to yourself, and you said, I love this person. How can I hurt this person? I cannot think negative about this person. I am with this person.
Yeah.
Even if the person is making certain mistakes.
Yeah.
Maybe it just doesn't go well with us. Doesn't mean that that person is not valued.
Right.
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 So you were gonna
So I mean, every time when people say, I forgive you, but I can't forget it, then why are you
Yes.
forgiving? Right? That is not forgive. If
That's
you
not
are going to forgive the person, you have to forget about it.
Yes. Yes.
That is my personal opinion. Like, if I will forgive you, I have to forgive you wholeheartedly. Otherwise, I will not. That is not called forgiveness. And you have to forget it, because then only will you be happy and you will be able to move on in any relationship, at work or anything. Because, like in my life, I've come across a lot of people, and working in, being in the workforce for many, many years, like there are so many times where people hurt us, and people want ill for us. They don't want us, because being a newbie, say, at work, and you get promoted, and it's like, okay, people start, like trying to tarnish your image and stuff like that, right? So if you don't okay, we talk about it, we get it sorted out, then, but at the same time, you have to be able to forgive and forget.
Yes.
You know, same goes in the relationship. If you've been hurt by your spouse, you talk about it, you go for counseling, you're doing all the right things. But if you do not, forget it and move on, start a new chapter in your life, then
Yes.
I think it's
We are rewriting the same story
exactly.
over and over.
And I
Yes.
think you probably come across with a lot of couples like that, right?
Yes,
And
infidelity is a big issue nowadays,
Right.
and among couples, and there are infidelity, finance, children, career. These are the topics that are really hitting the nerves of relationships,
right,
and this is what keep on coming back up in fights.
right.
You know, either which career is important, I have to move for my job, you have to move with me, you know, and then children discipline and their behavior. Like a lot of parents are struggling with ADHD
Yes.
problem with their kids, so there's a lot of problems with that. Infidelity, when you're not emotionally intimate and then physical intimacy is gone, then eventually the person steps out of the relationship. So these are the big things happening in couples, and money is another factor now.
Yes.
My account, your account. So, you know, they struggle with that. And we kind of forget, you know, what was the foundation of the marriage, right? The forgiveness, the forgetting. It's hard to forget sometime, you know, because
It
things
is.
happen.
Yeah.
But it's just taking time, checking your emotional climate time to time, saying, okay, every time this thing comes up, it takes me back to that incident,
Yes.
right? And just kind of checking on your emotions, like, okay, am I really now feeling it's just all building up, it's just coming out, maybe I need to kind of get some help,
Right.
Right.
It's not that if you didn't seek help when the infidelity was going on, maybe a person who's still suffering from it, the partner who didn't cheat and they had to be the victim of that, they can go get counseling for themselves, because it's very difficult to get past those situations when your spouse or your partner has cheated on you.
Right.
Right? So if for yourself, like, okay, I
Yeah.
need to get through this anger or hurt and deep pain I'm going through. And that's when the counseling is more important, because otherwise we'll keep in bringing up like I said, writing the same chapter over and over,
right?
looking
Yeah.
through the same lens.
Right.
Right? So that trust is gone. The empathy is gone for the relationship.
Right.
So, with having said that, I'm gonna just give like a lot of couples, they put down each other in argument. Right?
Yes.
So I want to give another scenario of Wendy and Ted. So Wendy is concerned about her husband because he's having some heart issues. So she tells him, "You missed your doctor's appointment. Again, you are irresponsible. I can see you dying and leaving me just like your father." Right? So see, this is simple things. So we see Wendy, she has some traumatic experience in her childhood, maybe losing her father at young age, and then
Right.
seeing Ted, her husband's father, died with heart problems. So she's afraid of losing people in her life, but she says, "I can see you're going to die and leave me." See, but Ted is not going to read into that sentence, right? "You're going to leave me." So Ted says, "Thanks a lot. You know, I am nothing like my father." Wendy said, "But you are stupid like he was, that, you know, you are not taking care of yourself." And then he says with sarcasm, "I'm sorry, I forget my good fortune to be married to such a partner who is responsible. You can't even keep your purse organized." See, now he's putting her down, right? And she said, "At least Wendy says, I'm not obsessive about stupid little things." And Ted said, but you're arrogant." See how we tend to get into it, and we lose the bigger perspective that here she could not say that I am worried about you.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to lose you. I lost a lot of important people in my life.
Yeah.
Right? She could just say, she was just how we are trained, and
Yes.
how sometimes we see those people in our lives that maybe parents or other friends, how their relationship, and that's what our mentor models are of marriage, right? So here, if she would have said, I love you, I care about you, I know you missed your doctor's appointment, next time I want to go with you and let's do it together because I'm worried. I don't want to lose you, right? And had to say, oh, I see you care about me. I'm going to make sure I take care of myself.
Right.
I'm so lucky to have you as a partner who's so deeply, worried about my health.
Right.
Simple. But,
Yeah.
it's just how we get into it.
Yes.
Right? It's just we let that
Yeah.
pressure cooker, and we whistle, right?
Yeah.
It's just how sometime in the relationship we get into these patterns, and it doesn't happen like, oh, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have a partner whom I can argue with. I don't think that's our plan. But it's just like I said, we have unfortunately we have seen some not a good role models of marriages in our
Right.
life, and nobody taught us how to be a good partner and in relationship. So we kind of make our own judgments
Right.
of marriages, and we kind of go from there.
Right.
So these are the invalidations and then escalations. All these patterns which kind of destroys intimacy in a relationship, emotional and physical.
Yes.
Like when you having these kind of fights, who's going to want to be physical intimate at night?
Right.
It's after you make up.
Yes.
I have a comment actually from one of our Facebook Live listeners, Jeff Dunbar Brock. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. He says, rule number 1, the woman is right, even if she is wrong. Makes life easier. If your wife, girlfriend, fiance is happy, it makes life easier. I agree with you, my friend.
If we all thought like that, Jeff.
Yes. Yeah, not all of us are not that lucky. Well, bravo for him. He's, his partner is very lucky that he thinks that way. But some of us have to, fight the battles of that.
Most of us.
Most of us, yes.
Most
yes,
of
yes,
us.
I agree with that. Yes.
So, well, it's almost time for us to wrap up. But I think we still have a lot that we have left out, right? But
Yeah.
Bhavna, please share your, your
My
contact
phone
number
number,
with
yes,
with
yes.
our listeners.
So my phone number is 281-773-3649. Again, 281-773-3649.
Okay, that's great. So, of course, we will see you back again next month.
Yes. And we're talking about
And-
forgiveness.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I
That'll
thought
be
that
another
would be-
great topic to touch on.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I think this is, too much happening in the world.
Yes.
So I think it's time that we just let it all go.
Yeah. Start new with spring coming, Holi and
Yes.
Navroz. It's like
Yes.
Happy New Year, right?
That's right.
So with that, that would be amazing
Yes.
to let go
So
and
Holi,
start new.
Like they say, holy represent you burn your all
Exactly,
your
yeah.
negative thoughts, the animosity you have for
Yeah.
each other. Just put all those things in
Aside,
the
just-
aside,
yeah.
and then just start beginning. Make
Start
your
the
life
new year
colorful
happy,
with
yes.
happiness. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
with
So
those
we'll just start
beautiful
with
colors. Yes.
Yeah. So we will start the forgiveness and letting go
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
of that next.
Thank you. Thank you so
you,
much for
Bhavna.
joining us, Bhavna. So, as always, we would like to leave you with a joke, a thought, some humor to start off with a fun week. Layla?
A strong marriage requires two people who choose to love each other, even on those days when they struggle to like each other. So
That's beautiful.
Okay, it's a riddle. I'm there once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years. Who am I? I know.
choice.
That's because you saw my paper.
Give up.
Yes.
It's the letter M.
That's nice. All right. So mine is, let me just see what mine is. One small positive thought in the morning can change your whole day.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
So everyone have
Absolutely.
a great Monday. Thank you for tuning in with your Chai Time Girls here on 99.5 FM. Let me see if I can say this without making a mistake. Iyali Madad, Khuda Hafiz, Ciao, Sasri Akal, bye, adios, arrivederci, sayonara. Remember, my friends, it's Chai Time, anytime, anywhere. Bye-bye.